Hello and welcome to the Cynical Optimists podcast, the superhero team-up between two guys whose only superpowers are chat and shit. I'm Phill.
And I'm Nick.
And this week, in the essence of superheroes and team-ups and, well, yeah, those things I said, we're going to be looking at Deadpool 2, which came out at a decent point in the week, so I didn't have to go and rush and see it on a Friday so we could record it on a Saturday or something like that. So thank you, Deadpool 2. More films should be like you. However, before...
Or do they? Or should they?
Yes. But before we answer that question, there's a little thing that has to happen called the News of the Week, with film and TV news.
Film and TV news of the week. I swear I'm having Jordan Peele articles like every week, because he's got Us coming out. It's his next big film with... Lupita Nyong'o. He's also producing, or executive producing, The Hunt, which is a vengeance-driven Nazi hunting series. It's going on Amazon Studios the next year, I think. But that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Peele has described it as noir, frighteningly relevant. It's what I want to see on television. Yeah, I'm excited for this. This sounds cool.
Can never have too many shows about hunting down Nazis.
No, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to see them getting started on this, because he is a smart guy as well. Like, the writing on Get Out was just like on point, and yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. Yes, that's not a big one. Not too much to say around that, but I'm excited for anything this guy does. So.
Yeah, no, yeah. And it's quite a good name to have behind a new show, isn't it? To be like,
oh, excuse me,
bless you.
Oh yeah, it's PK fever season, ladies and gents.
Yeah. So no, it's that beautiful time of year where we need to have the windows open so it's not boiling to record. But having the windows open sets off allergies.
Yep. All the pollen.
Yep.
Speaking of allergies, following on from Krypton, which is the sorry, I think that's the worst. Is that the worst link I've done?
I don't know. You've definitely done worse.
Because he's allergic. Because Superman's allergic to kryptonite.
Is it actually allergies though, or is?
Oh,
I think there's definitely a more serious word to use than allergies, because when it comes out, he's not like, oh, my eyes are going to be puffy. He's like, I'm going to die. Like, well, I suppose some allergies do kill, but
yeah, exactly. And besides, if he's
like
near it, he suffers a bit. So I think it's an allergy.
Serious.
But anyway,
yeah.
Following on from Krypton and Gotham, the next DC show that isn't in the Arrowverse is going to be Pennyworth, apparently, which is, get ready for this, period piece set in London in the 1960s.
About Alfred.
What do you think?
Okay.
I think that sounds pretty cool.
It's a bit bizarre, but I'm like, yeah, alright, I'm game. Why not?
Doesn't that sound pretty cool?
I mean, how much does Alfred get this kind of expansion in the comics, or will this just be basically made up for the show?
Well, if it follows on from the continuity of Gotham, and a lot of the comics as well, like he's ex-SAS, and because he's like, he can fight in like some of the animations and stuff as well. He can fight pretty damn well, and obviously in Gotham he's painted as a bit of like an action hero. I don't know. This sounds pretty cool. British spy caper.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because also, in Gotham as well, and in some of the comic runs, Alfred teaches Bruce quite a lot.
Okay.
So we might see some of that early kind of Batman fighting.
Yeah.
I think that sounds pretty cool, right?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. And it does mean that they won't have to tread on the toes. Hopefully they'll get a lot of creative flexibility, because did you hear about, on the subject of this, Cameron Monaghan, who plays Jerome and Jeremiah on Gotham.
Still makes me laugh.
Well, he tweeted something about like the creative freedom that they have in Gotham, and that apparently the big DC execs have not allowed them to use the green hair.
Right.
or the name Joker.
That's ridiculous, because I think that's why Arrow gets very limited use of Deathstroke now. Because of... But the confusing thing about that is they're like, oh no, not Deathstroke.
Well, they're not allowed to use Deathstroke because they briefly used him at the end credit scene of a film that nobody cared about.
That seems to be like the consensus. I haven't had any confirmation of it. But then that also doesn't make sense, because Deathstroke is also the villain in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Like, as an...
Yeah, but animations is different, I think.
Still, though.
Yeah, I know. No, it is ridiculous. Especially as I think Cameron Monaghan's a very good actor, and to be honest, I think Gotham's version of the Joker is better.
Well, it's had more time to develop him than just randomly showing up in Suicide Squad.
That's the thing. Like, the Joker in Suicide Squad was just no good. I mean, I still think there's a chance for that character to do something, but from what we've seen of Jared Leto as the Joker, it's not looking great, is it?
He's not gonna excite you. He's just gonna annoy you really, really bad.
Yeah. Again, I haven't actually seen any of Jeremiah, but I'm guessing it's exactly the same as Jerome, so they've got a good Joker. It's a shame that they can't.
And next season, they get to introduce the third triplet, called Jeremy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully at the end of at the very end of Gotham, I hope the creators and the execs will let them just do those final bit of knot tying and introduce a proper Batman and a proper Joker and all that kind of stuff.
That'd be a cool way for Gotham to end.
Yeah.
Is with the first appearance of Batman staring down like the first proper appearance of Joker, and they just like cuts to
But they're
black.
not allowed to call him Batman, and he's not allowed to wear the cowl.
Maybe he could do a homage to Fairly Odd Parents and be Catman.
I get it. That's a niche reference.
It is, but Fairly Odd Parents was great.
That was a great show. Speaking of... No, this doesn't tie in.
It's fine. Not every story has to tie into every other story.
Wait, can I do this? Speaking of... No, you know what? Forget it. Have you seen the trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
Okay. It actually looks pretty good.
Is it
starring...
a biopic?
Yeah. Starring Rami Malek. He looks really good as Freddie Mercury as well, by the way. I'm excited to see this, but I don't know. Apparently, this was originally going to star Sacha Baron Cohen.
That's a interesting choice.
Well, I was kind of excited for that because apparently he got like super into the role as Freddie and everything, but then there was some like production differences between like because Brian May was like basically producing this.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, the way it was going was like mostly about Freddie, and Brian May wanted to push a bit more of like the post Freddie Queen and how they're still doing well and all that kind of stuff. But does anyone care about that?
I was going to say, you have to decide what your story's going to be about. It, and a lot of biopics are focused around the interesting points, which is probably Freddie Mercury's Queen at their peak. Cause
Plus Freddie Mercury, like...
Otherwise your third act's
surely his
drag.
story... I was going to say, surely his story is way more interesting than any of the others. Like...
I mean, honestly, probably, yeah.
He was, like, as opposed to just like a bunch of straight white middle class guys who were born in Britain, and I don't know. It's sure if they've got an interesting story to tell, go for it. But like, Freddie has to be like. 'Cause I think it was originally just going to be called like Freddie or something as well. But yeah, the actual trailer looked pretty good, so I'm cautiously optimistic. That's what we do here.
I was going to say, we've said that a few times this episode already. You'd almost think it was the name of the podcast.
Maybe we should change it to Cautiously Optimist. Welcome to the Cautious Optimists.
Well, we're being careful to not get our hopes up too high, but They're just getting up high anyway.
What else have we got? Josh Brolin, the busiest man in the world right now, is apparently looking to bring The Hunchback of Notre Dame to the big screen once again. Yeah.
Right.
Brolin was set to be taking the lead. Yeah, Warner Brothers are looking to produce this, with Brolin looking to star as Quasimodo, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. What do you think?
I was going to say, I think if they didn't do it, Disney would probably get around to remaking it at some point, wouldn't they? With their it's with their live action blitz of old Disney films.
I don't think that would even stop Warner Brothers, because I think Warner Brothers are still pushing ahead with their own Jungle Book movie.
Oh yeah,
remember that? Do you remember that? I think we spoke about that a couple of seasons ago.
Possibly, yeah. That vaguely rings a bell. But that's the interesting thing when several companies somehow own the rights.
Well, that's the thing. They're classic literature, and they probably don't have like.
Yeah, probably anyone could make one. We could make one.
Yeah, literally. We could. Should we do one? We'll go in competition.
We'll make a Hunchback of Notre Dame movie. Do you want to be Quasimodo?
Yes. What are you trying to say?
I don't know. I was going to be like the stone gargoyle that makes the quips.
I don't think this will happen in the Warner Brothers version, because that will be dark and gritty.
Yeah, it'll be dark and brooding and... Yeah. CGI monsters.
Speaking of CGI monsters, and Disney, I should have probably said. No, speaking of Disney, you know what? Reverse. Speaking of Disney, do you want to know what the next Star Wars spin-off might be?
Oh, I saw this. It's Lando, right?
It is, yeah.
Which is funny, because I swear me and you were talking about how Lando would be a more interesting film than Solo.
Well, yeah, literally. Yeah, that's going to be pretty good, right? Again, neither of us has seen Solo yet.
But Donald Glover, though, so you know,
yeah.
I'd believe that'd be a good film just to have him.
I'm just staring at the thumbnail pic they've used on this article, and I just can't stop staring at him. Like, do it, do that film. Yeah. And to be honest, I'd be more. What did we actually say last week? Because I'm thinking, because there's not as much development in the originals for Lando as there is for Solo. Like, I think I would rather see a bit more backstory of Lando.
Yeah, I'd like to see the transition from like scoundrel to running Bespin.
Yeah.
Like all of it being through like manipulation and a bit of deceit and a bit of shady business.
Yeah. No, I'd love to see something. And also, one of the writers of Solo, I believe, came out and said that Lando is pansexual.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that could also be interesting, because we might get our first like LGBT Star Wars story, maybe. Who knows?
I mean,
who knows?
I'm surprised the usual culprits haven't come out of the woodwork to be like, oh, you're ruining my childhoods and stuff like that. Nah, shut up.
So yeah, I'm excited to see this. Plus, Empire is like my favourite Star Wars. Well, most people's favourite Star Wars.
I was going to say it's most sensible people's favourite Star Wars.
It'd be cool to see a bit of like Bespin, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of pretty stuff in Empire, and maybe if they can bring back some of that early Ralph McQuarrie artwork and stuff as well. Yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Yep.
Speaking of Lando, he is a bit of a gambler, isn't he? And plays a lot of games. Like, what's the one they all play in Star Wars?
The board of all the monsters.
Hollow chess, but there's another word for it.
Monster chess.
No, hollow chess. It's called... there's another... Dejarik.
Did you just look that up?
Yeah, wait, there's another one as well. What's the one Han wins the Falcon on? He plays it in a game of...
Blackjack.
No.
Strip poker.
Sabak. Sabak is a game. Speaking of games...
Speaking of games, news stories for TV that Nick just didn't really want to cover.
Starting with I should have ended with the Pennyworth.
I was going to say, looping back to the Arrowverse, which would have been with Nick with all his very stretched links between stories, would have been a very natural link from talking about the DC TV shows to say about how Batwoman is going to be coming to the Arrowverse at the next crossover event. And that could be quite interesting. I mean, I think Arrow, after 6 seasons, is finally beginning to run its course, and The Flash is just pretty crap ever since its first season. But I think that's pretty cool. I like how, probably because Warner Brothers executives are like, well, you can't have too much of the heroes we're using in the movies. It is forcing them to use like Supergirl and Batwoman rather than like, just another white male character, which obviously is the Arrow, the Flash, a decent amount of the Legends. And also it's going to be like, it's going to somehow have Gotham City in there. And like Arrow has alluded to Batman before. Like I think when he's been like talking about, there's some guy in a hood with a burn arrow, he's like, well, it's like, this obviously isn't a direct quote because the episode was ages ago. It's like, well, there's that guy in Gotham City, he runs around dressed like a bat, and that's literally as much as they've ever alluded to it. But obviously Arrow has multiple Earths, so they can basically do whatever they want. And I think that's pretty cool. That's if I start watching these shows again in the autumn. I'm going to try and not watch The Flash next year, because they always make the first few episodes good, and I'm like, maybe it's changed, and then it didn't. It didn't for season 3, and it hasn't for season 4. Arrow at least still has really well choreographed fight scenes. And, for some reason I do like the bow and arrow as a weapon, even though it's the least practical weapon. Like, it gives a lot of cool scenes when you have, like, perimeter guards getting taken out with arrows and stuff like that. But it's like...
Speaking of bow and arrows, archery is a game. Get back to your fucking gaming news.
Fine, let me move on to the second bit of TV news that you neglected to talk about.
Oh, he's hijacked my section.
To be fair, there's not really going to be much to say about this because you don't really watch Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball is getting a new anime this summer. This is actually connected to gaming news because it's based on the game Super Dragon Ball Heroes. And it's going to be purely a promotional anime. It's going to be completely non-canon. And you know what that means, Nick? It's just going to be fan service. And I don't, like, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, this is my drawing of Super Saiyan 10 Goku or whatever, or some bollocks, and they're going to get their fan servicey stuff. And I don't really care about the fan servicey stuff. Because I was like, it's usually people who are just keep on wanting to see different transformations in characters that don't get them, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to watch it. I think it'll be interesting. But
I need to find something. I need to find some news now that I can hijack your news with.
Gaming. Yeah, you can hijack gaming news if you want. Talking of gaming news. So Nick, to start with, are you much of a fan of visual novels?
Yes. No.
Basically, like the manga style, like slice of life games.
No.
Honey Pop, and there's that one where you can play a pigeon and it's a dating sim and it's really weird.
These are words.
Yeah. Anyway, adult visual novels, which are more of the dating sim, I guess, the more mature content. A bunch of those recently started getting emails from Valve saying that their games were going to be taken off of Steam for their explicit content.
Oh.
And this was met. I was going to say this was met with a lot of confusion from the developers, because there's not really much worse in the adult visual novels as you'd find in, say, Dragon Age or Witcher, which has like awkward CG sex scenes in it, and boobs and things like that. And obviously, you've got the millions of games that are just full of violence. Yeah. But this has been a bit of a confusing 24 hours, because when I got this story initially yesterday, it was all going bad. But it got updated last night with the fact that Valve have now gone to them all and said, "Our bad, no worries."
At least they admitted mistake.
I mean, Valve are very, very good at admitting mistakes. Not making sure they happen again.
Not EA.
Yeah, no, Valve are very good at making mistakes, admitting them, and then, like, making no precautions that they won't happen again. Who was happy about this ban?
People who have regular sex?
I don't know, actually. It's the National Centre for Sexual Exploitation, one of these organisations that just basically protest any kind of sexual content in anything.
Right.
I mean, granted,
because normally like action games and The Witcher and stuff is an excuse because like it's got a lot of like stuff around it. It's not just explicitly about that.
yeah, no. The Witcher's fine because there's also incredibly gory violence, and as we know, violence is okay.
And probably about 10 hours of actual gameplay before you even get to a sequence of such nature.
So what you're saying is like it's fine because you have to have some kind of you have to be interested in the game.
You have to be invested in the story, whereas these other simulators kind of just skip the pretense and just.
I mean, have you actually played any of them? Because I feel like we might get complaints.
Foreplay, as it were.
I mean, I have a feeling you're not playing these visual novels. You're just watching hentai.
I don't know anything about these games. I should probably point that out.
I was going to say, a lot of people are like, oh, they're nice stories, and I don't know. I don't really play them much either. To be honest, the only one that ever tempted me was the one where you play as a pigeon and like going to a pigeon high school and it's a dating sim just because it's so bizarre. But that was about it. Oh, sorry, coughing there. It's
all the diseases are getting through the windows here.
Yeah, diseasing. I was going to say it's the season, but apparently I just said the season.
It's the season for diseasing. That's also the tagline for these dating sims as well.
Oh, that's so bad.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that. Sorry.
No, that's funny.
I'm sorry if you play. I genuinely don't know anything about these games. I'm probably shitting all over it. I'm sorry.
So this is the confusing and brief removal of adult visual novels from Steam. Several developers received news about their games being removed, but they have since been apologised to by Valve, who seemingly remembered that they don't have any quality control on any of their other games, so why start now? The removal was claimed as a victory for the National Centre on Sexual Exploitation, who said the move was down to their pressuring of Valve. However, if peer pressure worked on Valve, we'd have Half-Life 3 by now. And now, moving on to more games that you love, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever hear the Call of Duty?
Not really, but sometimes.
So, there's a new mobile game coming into the series, and who do you think would be best placed to develop a Call of Duty mobile game?
EA?
Well, one, Activision Blizzard owns Call of Duty.
Right.
But two, the guys who developed Candy Crush Saga.
Wow.
Because, actually, it's in part because the developer was purchased back in 2015 by Activision Blizzard.
Oh, imagine if it was the Pokemon Go guys.
What, so you could, like, see Nazis in real life?
So people could just go around with their phones pretending they're guns. Shouting, "Die, you prick! Die, you noob!" in the middle of the street. That'd be great.
Yeah, that wouldn't be problematic at all.
No.
But no, Activision Blizzard paid a crazy $5.9 billion for King, the developer of Candy Crush Saga, back in 2015. And it's good that after paying all that money to acquire such a clearly unique developer, they've got them working on a Call of Duty mobile game. So, and this all came from a job listing for King, who kind of explained that the game was in development. They're looking for level designers.
This is odd. I mean, is it going to be like Plants vs Zombies kind of style? Zombies just coming towards you, and
I'm not actually sure. A direct quote from the ad reads, "The approach and ambition is to be fresh, social, and highly accessible, while providing a very authentic game experience. Very authentic worries me because it's Call of Duty."
Accessible worries me because is this Call of Duty for kids now?
I was going to say
just Call of Duty basically.
I was going to say Call of Duty is already for kids because parents don't look at the age restrictions or anything like that.
But I guess if it's from the developer of Candy Crush, I guess it's Call of Duty for also middle-aged mums now as well.
It's going to be addictive too. But in
so many mums on their iPads playing Call of Duty now. It's going to be great.
It did make me think though. Do you actually how much do you actually play games on your phone anymore?
Never. I got a new phone recently. I haven't downloaded a single game on it, and it's an Android phone as well with actual RAM.
Yeah. So I don't know. But then possibly we're just not the target audience for mobile games. It's for people who don't play real games, I guess.
Maybe.
Like middle-aged mums.
Yeah.
And people who can't, I guess.
That's going to be great. I'm going to turn around to my mum soon. She's going to be like, "Oh, I'm playing COD, leave me alone."
She's going to come punch you in the face.
Mum, make sure you turn that off before midnight. Come on, Mum, you got school in the morning.
Leave me alone, jeez. So yeah, this is the news that King, developer of the hit phenomenon Candy Crush Saga, is developing a Call of Duty game for mobile players. Whilst last year's console outing had people up in arms with the callous way that loot boxes dropped onto the beaches of Normandy, I'm sure people will be a lot happier this year when you'll just have to line up 3 Nazis in a row and they'll disappear. That was my...
You know what would have been a good link is if I did my Amazon Nazi hunting series last.
To be honest, I think you've really blown it this week, Nick. I'm going to be honest. There are so many good links.
Well, somebody hijacked my section.
Just because you don't want to cover Arrowverse doesn't mean that people aren't interested in it.
Write in if you're interested. I tell you what, if we get one comment that isn't you or me or one of our multiple YouTube accounts saying I'm interested in the Arrowverse news, I'll do it.
I don't know, you might be pushing it there. So my next story is something that I put in the category of I thought this had already happened news. So in that vein, what gaming system has finally stopped producing its physical game media?
Oh, I know this one. I'm going to hijack it. Sony PlayStation Vita.
Exactly correct.
Hijacked.
Well done. You certainly hijacked that news story. And this was so surprising to so many people because a lot of people thought a lot of people thought it already happened because
right.
The Vita's kind of already been, I suppose, dropped into the footnotes of history.
I was going to say I didn't even know they were still making games for it, let alone physical ones.
The thing is, it reached a point, especially I think it was when the 3DS just basically catapulted into popularity and a lot of the focus was going towards the PS4, where Sony were just like, who cares? And just basically stopped supporting the Vita. But what I found interesting when I was reading articles about this was that the system launched in 2012, which seems like ages ago.
That is a long time ago.
But it launched with the slogan "Console Gaming on the Go," which is hilarious because the Nintendo Switch now exists. And I think that's the thing, is just between Nintendo's 3DS and Switch, the Vita was just kind of made redundant. Because I think
Why did it have it also had a touchscreen on the back, which I never understood.
Yeah, it seems really confusing that the last two things that Sony have made, it's like, how do we make this slightly different to the last iteration? They're like, let's just put some touchscreens in weird places.
They did that on the new PS4 remote as well.
Yeah.
Have I ranted about this before?
I don't know. Do it again.
So they put a touchscreen on the PS4 remote so that you basically can't buy aftermarket or third party like controllers and stuff for PS4, and so the only one you can buy is like the £50 like DualShock one. It's real annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to replicate. It's a capacitive touchscreen just randomly plopped on the top that you barely ever use, just to make it a bit more difficult to replicate.
I was going
to annoying.
If you had a game which literally never used it, supposedly there could still be a third party controller for it, but that third party controller you could only use it for like the games that didn't use the touchscreen.
It's
so still not very
to
useful.
Use as well. The map on Assassin's Creed Origin, you can use the little thing to like sort of scroll around the map like it's Google Maps, but it's real clunky to use. So I just use the joystick anyway.
Yeah, it seems like it's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
It's just real jammy because literally the only thing you can buy to get split screen to play split screen is either get your mate to bring around his controller or buy a £50 controller. It's ridiculous.
So. Because obviously you've always been a Sony dude. Why did you never get any of the handhelds they made, like the PSP or the Vita?
You know what? I nearly got a PSP off a friend's dad, and then that never happened. That's the end of my story. Yeah, because basically they suck.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't really seem to have.
You know what? The only reason I was going to get it, coincidentally, is the reason I got a PS4 is because apparently there was a pretty good Battlefront game on it.
I was going to say, I remember there was a Battlefront game for the PSP. But
that's
to be honest,
I was going to buy a second-hand PSP.
But when I think of the PSP and Vita, maybe it's because I'm not a Sony gamer, but I couldn't really tell you any killer apps.
No.
And that's what a system needs. Like, obviously, any other system you can like be like. This game, you would buy it for this game. Or this game. Like, a few systems will have a few exclusives that you're like, yes, you'd want it for that. But yeah, it just didn't have any. And and compared to the amount of people that go crazy for Pokemon on Nintendo handhelds, it's just
you know what would have made it a bit
up.
better is if it came with it never had like imagine if it came with like a SIM card and you pay monthly and you get like 4G unlimited or like game only data or something like that, and then you could just like play online sort of wherever you are. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, like even that I'm not sure that would have been cool for the time it came out, but as we moved forward in time, even that I think would have become a bit like
I don't know. I don't know because it'd be pretty cool. You could it could be quite social. You could sort of play it in bed and plug the headphones in, or play it wherever. Plug the headphones in, talk to people while playing and gaming and stuff. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why it didn't work. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So moving on. Talking of talking.
Yep.
Talk show hosts and video games for some reason have been in the news this week. So you've had Trevor Noah, who does, I think, The Daily Show now, doesn't he? Or one of the late night talk shows. But he's going to be unveiling the new Battlefield game next week, which is presumably going to be called Battlefield 5, with the 5 stylized in Roman numerals like V. And he seems to be quite excited about that.
Good for him.
But the more interesting talk show host story, I included both because for some reason they're linked. Like, well, there's a link there.
Yeah.
Is the fact that Ariana Grande will be on The Tonight Show, which is hosted by Jimmy Fallon, and there'll be a band using all Nintendo Labos to play a song. So I was talking about the Nintendo Labo, Nintendo selling literal cardboard.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a band all using Nintendo Switches with a Nintendo Labo to perform a song.
Huh.
And I thought that was just like,
why?
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's weird.
Jimmy Fallon's always been quite a big Nintendo and gaming fan. So, But can you imagine, like, being a musician? It's like, oh yeah, they want to book you for the Tonight Show. Yeah, that sounds great. But you have to play it on this piece of cardboard.
You're at the back. You're on air guitar.
Yeah. Oh, as possibly you can look up the performance now because it was a few nights ago. Actually, looking at the story.
Can we really? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have a quick sneak if you want to get started on the next news story.
Yeah, of course. I'll keep soldiering on to Pokemon news. So there's been quite a few rumours this week about the Pokemon game for the Switch. The big detail supposedly being that it's going to get revealed this month, which would mean it'd be revealed ahead of E3, which would be interesting. And also there's been some domains registered. So people are starting to think about what the games could possibly be. But the domains registered for are Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Huh.
Which is leading a lot of people to think that it's going to be a Gen 1 remake. And that seems quite interesting as well, because, like, no offense to Pikachu, but if that's like your two choices of starter, depending on which version you get, Eevee is just better.
Yeah,
because
you can transform it into anything.
Yeah, you can transform it into any kind of type. Obviously, Pikachu has the more, like, trademark appeal, like, he's the mascot. But, yeah, you just go for Eevee.
I'm just watching the Ariana Grande. This is actually pretty impressive.
Is it actually?
Yeah. Fallon's on it as well. That's not bad. Oh, it's Roots. Roots are singing it. I think they did. Did you ever see the Star Wars Roots performance on Jimmy Fallon?
No.
Oh, that was pretty good. It's like an a cappella Star Wars medley. Even Harrison popped up at the end, but I'm really disappointed when he does, because I was expecting him to just pop up and be like, fuck off, but he actually joins in.
Oh. Yeah, don't you hate it when people play along?
Oh, that's cool. No, nice one. Nice
yeah.
one, Nintendo.
So, I was going to say, what would you think about a Gen 1 remake on the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah. If it's good. Like, very good.
Yeah.
It's got to be 3D, it's got to be, like, not so top-down, it's got to be kind of open world. Yeah, no, I'd actually consider it with that.
Well, the thing is, from the people who've been making these supposed leaks and rumours, the comments that are coming out is that this new game, pair of games, as is Game Freak tradition, will raise a few eyebrows, to quote one of the people, and then a guy from Unseen64, which is another gaming site, said that he expects the reveal to be divisive. So I'm actually not sure what we're going to be expecting here.
That means they are going to change the format of Pokemon games, aren't they?
I think they have to if they're bringing it to the main console.
Yeah.
I don't think they could just scale up, say, Sun or Moon.
Yeah.
For console.
Imagine if like the actual the fighting between the Pokemon is like actual 3D like Arkham style combat.
Oh god, can you? That'd be so difficult to like. That'd be so much programming. Like, even if you only did the original 150 to do all their moves and like interactions with each other, for every move
maybe
they
just
could
like
learn.
maybe just like basic punches, but then you got like the special moves as well with like the triggers. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out if it does actually get announced this month. That'll still be in our podcast season, so I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
That is exciting, and I might actually have more to say about it than I normally do.
And in other Pokemon news, there is a new manga coming out in Japan which reveals some of the unused Gen 1 Pokemon. And amongst it, because there's a screenshot that's come out from the... Not a screenshot, like a picture that's come out from the book. And it's got some designs like listed. And whilst there's ones that obviously we all know, like Diglett, Blastoise, Ghastly, Venonat, there's also a deer Pokemon with like antlers.
Have we spoken about this before?
We spoke about Pikachu.
Oh, okay.
and his unused third stage transformation with fangs.
That's right, yeah.
There is a shark with an arrowhead for its forehead.
Ooh.
And there is a crocodile that looks like it's just seen some shit. Because his eyes are incredibly wide open.
Oh, these sound cool. Can you see pictures of them online?
Yeah, it's only a handful at the moment because it's just from this one screenshot. I'll send it to you across our Skype chat.
Oh, should we put some pictures up on the video as well if you're watching this?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Where is this? Where is this? Are you sending it to me on?
Yeah, I'll send you the news story, and then at the bottom it's got an image gallery.
Cool.
Whilst Nick's looking at that, No Man's Sky.
I know
everyone's favourite game. It did not have any controversies when it launched, and it's just been received.
Still want to play that
perfectly. Well, you might have another reason to, because in No Man's Sky's next update, it is finally. This is something that was advertised to have at launch and didn't.
Right.
And launch was like several years ago now. It's finally getting synchronous multiplayer.
Wow.
You can finally get a gang of people together and go exploring.
Huh.
So,
I can't see. Where did you say these pictures are? At the bottom?
Yeah, so you got image gallery, and it's the very last one.
Okay. I'm literally just seeing an advert for Viagra at the bottom of this page.
Are you at the very, very bottom?
Yeah. Up a bit, yeah. Oh, okay, here we go.
I was going to say, that's not the news story.
The deer
not
looks
about...
cool.
Yeah.
Oh and my god, that crocodile. Oh my god, can we put a picture of that in the video? Jesus Christ.
I'll put the screenshot in. And here it is again, why not?
I think I know its name, its unused name. It's called Crocodile.
That's what I was thinking as well. Looks like it's been doing some drugs.
I choose you, Crocodile. Oh, the shark looks good.
Yeah. So,
cool.
It'll be interesting when that manga finally comes out.
God, that's a weird Pokemon at the bottom. Oh no, that's the advert for Viagra again. Anyway, carry on.
Sorry, I have to. Crocodile, use Harden. Anyway, I know we. Last week I spoke about Koei Tecmo.
There's another one next to it. Its evolution is cold turkey. Sorry, carry on.
Koei Tecmo, who made Fire Emblem Heroes and want to make another one.
Yeah.
Have been back in the news saying stuff they want to do when they're not just remaking the same games over and over. They want to do a Star Wars game and a Mario game, potentially both in the style of their Warriors series.
I thought you were going to say both in the same game.
I could do very many Star Wars quotes with a Mario voice, but I'm not going to because we will be here all day. That could literally be an entire show topic for this podcast.
Picture Mario Star Wars crossover.
Yeah. But the Star Wars one was the one that kind of piqued my interest because the whole Warriors game is that you're like the superpowered badass against hordes of enemies. And I was just thinking, it's set in the Clone Wars, Jedi, hordes of droids, and you're just slashing through them with your lightsaber.
Oh yeah.
And your special powers are like force powers. And I think that could be pretty damn cool.
That'd be pretty damn cool. I would definitely play that.
I'm not sure how Mario one would work, but to be honest, Mario ends up in everything anyway, so... He got that bloody Rabbids game last year that ended up being surprisingly good, so who knows?
I never played it.
And now finally we're on to a section that is just apparently happened at the end of gaming news, which is called Products of the Week. Because apparently there is always something or other, and I know that now I've said this, next week there won't be any. But the first one is quite a quick one. It's that the NES Classic Edition, the NES Mini is
coming back.
It's finally coming back. Before it inevitably sells out within about an hour, and you have to go back to buying it from scalpers on eBay. And that's like quite good because that was incredibly popular. I'm still not sure whether I'd get one, but I'm definitely in a position where I could if I wanted to when it comes back out.
I could potentially, yeah.
And I think I've got like a proper living room set up now rather than when I was at uni. So, and it's not that expensive either.
No, when they came out, they were like what, under 40 quid or something.
Yeah, it's like 40 or 50 quid.
Nice. Yeah,
not bad at all. So
yeah.
I'm going to keep an eye out and might get that next month.
Actually, have I ever taken you to that pie shop in where I live?
Yes, you have. Pie Caramba.
They've got one in there.
Oh, that's cool. Actually, interestingly enough, I was meeting up with a different friend yesterday, and he took me to a place
What?
that does. Sorry, yeah, I have more than one friend. This might be a big shock for you, Nick.
That's the big ending news segment. Jeez.
But he took me to a place called Atomic Burger, and that is
that's in Oxford, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's similar to Pie Caramba, and it's like got stuff like all covered in pop culture stuff.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. One of my friends goes to uni there and have gone on about it a lot. I really want to go there. They do burgers, right?
Yeah, it's really good. But I did find it funny how like whenever I'm with friends, they're like, "There's this place that has like pop culture and video game stuff," so I thought I'd take you there, and I'm like, "I don't mind." clearly, I'm very well defined in what I like. But no, that's good. I've told you about City Skylines before, haven't I? Like the city building game.
Maybe, but I've almost definitely forgotten.
There's a few games made by Paradox Interactive because this is how it's going to link into the story. This is one of the ones that's listed, and it is. I really, really enjoy it. For some reason, it's quite cathartic for me just to sit there and like just build a city, and then a recent DLC was natural disasters, so then I just destroy it, as you do. But City Skylines, along with a few of Paradox's other IPs, are getting board game adaptations. Like, I'm not sure how that's going to work because City Skylines is just about really like building a city.
Isn't that just Lego?
I was going to say I'm down. Yeah, let's have a look. And it seems to be a increasing thing of like, I like how board games are starting to come back into popularity, and you're getting cool and interesting ones coming out.
Yeah.
Like the kind of advent of like tabletop YouTube gamers and stuff like that.
And that means more movies to make from board games as well.
Yeah.
So
although, yeah, I was going to say,
episode.
Since the board games are from video games, we could list those in our games anyway. But now the coolest product of the week, and actually this is really, really, really good. Because I kind of obviously make fun of Microsoft a lot. But they've just made a new controller that makes gaming easier for people with disabilities.
I did see this, yeah, that's cool.
The Xbox Adaptive Controller, and if you watch the video, it's really touching, and it's like kind of rectangular controller, but it can be modded for different people with different disabilities, and so people can play together, and it's people with like head injuries or spinal injuries or cerebral palsy.
That's amazing, yeah.
And it was just really, really cool. And that is why it was definitely as much as we do feature some incredibly strange products in this section that I've just made up, this is definitely one of the coolest. And I think it's a really nice way to go forward, because I do think, especially one of the stories was about brothers that used to play together before one of them had his injury, and now they can still play together afterwards, and I think that's incredibly important. So
it's a little bit of a shame that they're charging £100 for it, but
yeah, but to be honest, I was going to say hopefully through charity organisations, the people who need them will be able to get them for cheaper or for free.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully they're not going to turn this into profiteering, because otherwise that would make my reaction to this news story a lot less good job and a lot more, well, fuck you then. But yeah, no, that's really cool, and I thought that'd be a nice one to end on before we get crass and rude and sweary for Deadpool 2. So, Deadpool 2. To give you some conversational whiplash there. As always, with our film discussions, for the next 10-15 minutes or so, it is going to be spoiler-free. We will let you know when we start talking spoilers, but if you don't... But to be honest, I don't think there's really as many spoilers for Deadpool 2, because it's less,
the
less
ramifications
interconnected.
are so... Yeah, exactly. And the ramifications, even from the spoiler things, are like very little.
So what I might do is, unlike Infinity War, where we kind of almost closed out the episode when we finished with the non-spoiler, we're just going to go into spoilers and do the regular end of the episode at the end, because I feel there's going to be less people who leave us at that point. So,
but what did you think of it?
I really liked it.
So did I.
I think it was always going to struggle to reach the impact of the first film, and I think possibly I still prefer the first film. But it was really good.
Too. Yeah. I think it was actually funnier than the first film. Like, more like laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, I think because it had everything set up and you kind of knew what the score was, it could just go full pelt from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which was really, really good.
But yeah, it's got its... I feel it has carried over a lot of its kind of tropes from the first... Well, not tropes, but like its format from the first one, so we kind of get a slightly non-linear narrative.
I was not surprised when it started with, oh, how did I get here? Because that's exactly how the first one started.
Yeah, basically.
And that did give me a bit of worry, actually, when that happened. I was like, are they just going to do the same thing again? But I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and no, it was a good movie, good cast.
I was going to say, talking about Josh Brolin, he was very good in this.
He was a good Cable.
Very, very good straight man. Because obviously he was taking...
so dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe? That was a good line. It's in the trailers, it's fine, it's not a spoiler.
And I was a bit like I found the plot actually quite interesting, because I thought it was more interesting than the trailers made it sound.
Oh yeah, it did and it didn't for me, because there was a lot of shots from the trailers which are kind of not to spoil, but like a lot of it is kind of done in montage within the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So it didn't really span as far as I thought it could span, plot-wise. But
I think the twists and turns were quite good, though.
Yeah, I got to say, I watched it twice, and watching it the second time, when you know the jokes and the punchlines and stuff, it's not like the most entertaining plot to follow.
I'm going to be... One of my criticisms, actually, of the first Deadpool, which is probably still relevant now, is I'm not sure how it will hold up in like years to come.
No, I think rewatch value actually is quite low on these movies, because
I think that in a way it's almost the point of Deadpool.
I guess, but this is what annoys me about because you know our boy Donald Glover was supposed to be doing the animated TV show.
Oh yeah,
I think he was writing it with his brother or something. I can't remember, but it actually makes me crave that a bit more, because I'd rather see it as like a serialized format where you get different jokes each week and different. I don't know. Because if you know the jokes already, then the actual plot is actually, it doesn't really carry the weight of the movie that well, I don't think.
And also when the stuff it's referencing is no longer current.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna suffer as a result.
Well, even a couple of jokes felt a little bit behind. Like, it's not really a spoiler, but there was something about dubstep at one point, which I felt.
Yeah, I was like, a dubstep joke in like 2018, really?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just felt a little bit behind. So yeah, I don't like. I could watch. I've seen Infinity War 3 times. I could probably watch that again. Whereas this, I don't think I could watch again for quite a while.
That's the thing. I've never, and here's kind of a big point is I've never felt the need to rewatch the original.
No. No,
I enjoyed it a lot.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think
And I
that's
don't feel that.
fine, but
Yeah.
I feel like it is a shame we're not getting like a serialized version of Deadpool, because I think that would work really well. And to be honest, we could like, in my ideal scenario is there's a really good animation where you get some of the returning cast like Ryan Reynolds, maybe Josh Brolin as Cable and stuff could return to do voices, but that would be my ideal scenario because we'd get fresh jokes each week.
Yeah, somebody I follow on Twitter this week was talking about, this is kind of related to, kind of was comparing the Marvel Cinematic Universe films to the comics, and said that actually he wouldn't really care too much if Doctor Strange in particular didn't get another film. He just turned up in other people's films basically to explain stuff, because that's what he does in the comics.
Yeah, that's
And
true actually, yeah.
it would be pretty cool if Deadpool just turned up in the films just to be like, but, and then just left again.
And
like,
they won't do that because it's too strong a franchise and they do well on openings. But I'm not sure this is going to get the return viewings. Maybe that, well, it's not. I don't think it is going to get the return viewings that Infinity War got.
No.
Or even maybe the first Deadpool.
Yeah, because as well, it's the difficulty when your main character is also your comic relief. Is that plot is going to be something's got to be sacrificed for something else.
Yeah.
Like either.
Having said all of this, like it is
really
hugely
good.
entertaining. Yeah, it's hugely entertaining. And
really, really funny.
Yeah, they riff on tropes that you've seen in other films. There's a
fair amount of self-deprecating humour from Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's more violent. It's more crude comedy. It's just it's a rollick the whole way through, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So the story's very good. I was going to say there's new supporting players. The girl whose superpower is luck. That's something that comes up in the trailer. Yeah, Domino. She was very good. I liked her in it.
Yeah, in fact, I liked all the supporting characters, if a little underused, maybe.
And obviously the little boy who's the focus of the piece did very well, I think.
Russell, was it?
Russell, yeah. I was trying to remember what he self-declared as superhero. Yeah, Fire Fist.
That was funny, because I think Fire Fist is actually like a classic X-Men comic character as well, and it was just quite funny to just... Deadpool just shits on it like the minute he sees him, which I thought was funny. I thought some of the supporting characters were a tiny bit underused.
Yeah, one in particular. I'll go.
Negasonic?
I was going to say Negasonic didn't really do that much in this one, did she?
No, I wish we had a bit more Negasonic. Having said that, first lesbian or gay couple in a Marvel franchise film, maybe
the first one that's so just explicit.
Yeah, because
obviously there's a lot of safety in the past was like implied nudges and winks.
Yeah, well, Tessa Thompson said that Valkyrie is bisexual on her Twitter, so like from Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because there's a brief moment in Ragnarok where we see a glimpse of that. But I actually read the one-shot Valkyrie comic, by the way, that they published a few years ago, because I was like, oh, this seems like a cool character. But the comic, no good.
That's a shame.
Barely does anything. It's like they kind of do the Thor joke again, where she's like, oh, what is Earth? What am I doing here? What is my duty? And yeah, it's not great, but Ragnarok's pretty good. Anyway, in fact, I think Ragnarok was actually a bit funnier than this film.
I think the difference is, in a few years, Ragnarok will still be just as funny.
Yeah,
whereas
I agree.
there might be one or two lines where I'm like, what was that referring to again?
I think Ragnarok was, more rewatchable as well, actually.
Yeah. So bear in mind, we should emphasise, I did really like this film, but it's just an inherent issue with Deadpool as a concept, is obviously it's not going to be timeless, it's got to be current.
Yeah, exactly.
Which obviously is a double-edged... Well, it's a strength and a weakness, because obviously it means that... Well, it means, I guess, you need to right from the production cycle of a Deadpool film probably needs to be as short as possible, so it's all as current
because,
as possible.
usually films take like a year or two to make, so like anything you say at the time might be outdated soon.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, that makes it very good and current, but it also makes, in a few years, you might be at risk of it being very dated.
Yeah.
It kind of, because I know you don't watch it, but it's kind of the change that South Park made a few years ago. Is they were doing like more traditional stories of like the occasional story about stuff that was happening at the time.
Relevant, yeah.
But now they kind of basically will always do that. It's now just purely satire about current events.
Right, yeah.
And while some episodes have held up very well on rewatches, some of them I have been like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think Deadpool's the same.
Sometimes it works if the script is tight enough. Like one of my favourite shows is The Thick of It, which obviously echoed like what was happening in real politics at the time, but like only kind of followed it and didn't sort of make it the main subject of its comedy. Which I think was quite a smart way to do it.
And also, I find it funny when you watch political satire, and how much of it is probably still true. Like there's some jokes that you can always make.
I watched a really good film. It's not really, it's not a comedy or anything like that, but I watched a really good mockumentary called Punishment Park yesterday, which was made in like 1971, and it's about like gun violence, and like there's a lot in there about kind of like toxic masculinity and like gun control, and like it's just like it's still so relevant today. But that's a really
on one
film.
hand it's interesting that it's so relevant today, on the other hand it's sad that we still haven't solved it yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because honestly, I watched this film and like you could tell me it was made like a year ago and I'd be like, yeah, I believe you, kind of thing. Because especially that's quite a timeless genre as well, mockumentary.
Yeah,
very postmodern. Anyway, sorry.
So anyway,
back to Deadpool. Should we move on to spoilers?
I was going to say, should we do scores and then spoilers?
Oh, okay, score. That's quite a tough one, because again, the rewatch, when I rewatched it, like, there were moments where I kind of zoned out a little bit, because like some of like the dramatic moments and the inverted commas, like emotional moments, were kind of a bit of a drag.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I only saw it once.
Yeah, because I would zone out during those moments again the second time.
I'm going to say 7.5.
I'm going to say 7.
Fair enough. Maybe on a second watch I'd move that down. But that's
it is good.
It's worth watching.
Yeah, definitely.
It is really. If you just want, and talking about popcorn flicks, if you just want a fun night at the cinema, go see it.
And don't watch it twice. Just watch it once.
Yeah. Otherwise, it will lose that 0.5.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it probably would, because it's more, and it knows it's quite gratuitous and it knows it's quite referential. So I mean, it's obviously not going to work as well on repeat viewings. But anyway, let's go into spoilers.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about the plot and spoilers and stuff. So if you don't want to listen in, we'll see you possibly sometime next week. It might not be on Monday for Solo. Anyway, spoilers.
Because Phil's too busy to watch Star Wars.
Yeah, basically. So, you've got 5 seconds to leave. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Juggernaut was
1.
good, wasn't he?
I was going to say, I was going to do my usual thing of giving a fake spoiler and being like, yeah, you should have left.
Caught them out if they were still there.
Yep. Well, yeah, to be honest, when Juggernaut was revealed as like the big guy in the maximumist security,
yeah,
I was a bit like, oh, okay, Juggernaut, but part of me was like, oh, okay, well, I know who Juggernaut is. That's not as exciting now.
He was a bit too grey.
Yeah,
I think because his comic costume's normally like red or brown, isn't it?
yeah, and also he didn't really do much. He was more just a blunt instrument.
Yeah. I liked how they reference him though. Although it's weird that they didn't reference Vinnie Jones.
Well, he's the Juggernaut, bitch.
I know. Well, yeah, like surely that is a weird missing reference, right?
Yeah, for a thing that's so much on its references.
Exactly that. Like there's references to the DC universe. Like he calls Cable Thanos at one point. Like
yeah,
like I can't believe they missed out on the Vinnie Jones thing. Like what?
I think the best like reference though was when he was walking around the X Manor, and you had all of the actual X-Men actors in a room, and they just closed the door.
That's what I mean. Moments like that is what make it like an absolute joy on the first viewing, but then the second time you're just like, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but what I was going to say is one of the underused actresses was Deadpool's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, Marina.
Because she obviously dies in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
I think it's
again, like, this is why it's like it's very hard to like put ramifications on this film, because that is undone by the end credits.
Yeah, do you think that's like a permanent undoing though? Because surely that would cause just a massive paradox. Or do you think Deadpool just doesn't give a shit?
Deadpool doesn't give a shit. Like this is a franchise which can just kind of like it calls itself out on lazy writing at one point.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's in a film. He knows when it's CGI. Like it doesn't matter that there's.
Doesn't matter that when Cable changes time, it does change his future.
Yeah.
But when Deadpool goes back and changes it, it doesn't have any doesn't have any impact because it's basically just an end credits joke.
They also missed a Back to the Future reference as well when the teddy bear like changes back to uncharred. Yeah. Then again, I guess you can't fill every single second with references, otherwise.
Otherwise, there's a definite balance between, because otherwise you're just like, oh, it's like that thing, and that's like that thing, and that's like that thing.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I thought the
opening credits
were really good.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think part of the film where I zoned out a bit in the first viewing was the bit in the prison until Cable shows up.
Maybe there's a bit that drags just before then, and
when it's just basically Deadpool's just telling the kid to fuck off.
Yeah, it's a bit of an overused trope, that, isn't it? It's like the reluctance. I guess like this film parodies Logan a fair bit, which is quite interesting because like obviously Logan had a similar sort of relationship with him and Laura in Logan.
Yeah.
And did you notice as well? One of my favourite subtle reference was I think I'm almost certain it's exactly the same score from Logan that plays over Logan's death as Deadpool's death.
Oh.
So when he's just lying on the ground, sort of like monologuing, it's the same music playing that played over.
Oh yeah, that death, that was funny, but that was another bit that dragged on a bit.
See, I don't know. I thought that was the point, and I think that was one of the funniest moments for me, and especially like the Academy's watching kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great one.
I kind of like the slightly homoerotic vibe between Colossus and Deadpool as well, when he keeps on like flirting
touching
with
his
him.
ass. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, there's not actually huge amounts to say about this movie, is there?
Yeah, I think doing like the spoiler warnings just so we don't have to be thinking in our heads, like, is that giving anything away?
But again, it doesn't actually have that, because even like I'm not actually, I can't remember her character's name. That's really bad, isn't it?
Who are we trying to talk about?
His girlfriend.
Oh no, nor can I.
No. Vanessa. That's it. Is it Vanessa? I'm pretty sure it's Vanessa.
Pretty sure it is.
So when Vanessa's death like doesn't even seem like high stakes, because she pops up another 2 times in the movie. Those are the moments that drag for me a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Because the first one was kind of more of like a love story, and I don't know. I think there was just a couple of too many moments in this one.
I tell you,
I think they've got good chemistry, but like
yeah, the bit in the plot that actually I thought was a decent, because I suppose now it's happened, it's like, oh, I probably should have seen that coming, but the fact that obviously Cable from the future was there to like get the little boy, because obviously he turns into a villain.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was going to have some like nefarious motive, and then obviously he teams up with Deadpool. I didn't see any much of that coming. But I did like the Oh, one thing we probably should talk about is how good is the X-Force sequence?
The X-Force sequence, yeah, I was just going to get to that.
I was going to say
is
that
definitely
was
the best bit in the movie.
That is definitely the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's
when
like
just...
It's a 5-minute franchise. It's a 5-minute sequence of just the X-Force like deploying into battle for the first time, and just all of them die.
And that was like so shocking as well, because I was like, like you had decently big names like Terry Crews, and
Yeah,
he just gets hit by
Bill
a bus.
Skarsgård, even Brad Pitt was the Vanisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny. And it was like horrific as well. Like Bill Skarsgård character like can throw up acid, and like Pete, who's like the normal human, tries to go and rescue him, and just gets his like half his body burnt off with like acid breath. It was gross.
It was just such a good sequence, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was properly hilarious. Especially like the setup as well there was pretty perfect. The fact that he says like, oh, these guys need to be young enough to carry the franchise kind of thing. And you actually think for a second like, oh, wow, we're actually getting X-Force, this is happening. And then just immediately all of them are killed, which I thought was just genius.
I thought the idea of luck as a superpower was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty good sequence, but a bit... like the CGI didn't look great. But yeah, Domino was really cool. Again, I wish we saw more of Negasonic and Yukio, because they were pretty cool. Yes, we talked about Colossus. We talked about X-Men appearing. Other cameos or references. Oh, end credit scene. Should we talk about that?
Oh, that was really, really... That was just a good, funny way to end the film, I think.
It was.
Basically,
again,
it's doing a lot of...
It's more the shock value the first time you see it, because again, the second time it's not going to be as funny. But yeah, he basically goes and uses Cable's time device to undo a lot of bad decisions, which is pretty good joke. I wish I didn't watch this again.
I think you would have seen it again at some point.
I mean, probably, but yeah, all those jokes that I'm thinking of, like the first time I was like, haha, that is genius, and the second time I'm like, yeah, I know it. But good film though.
Yeah, no, good enjoyable film. Good popcorn flick for a night out at the cinema.
Actually, I really hope people didn't listen to this spoiler section if they hadn't seen it, because like it works best when you don't see the jokes coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's important that we still had like the spoiler section.
Yeah. Celine Dion song, pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Actually, a bit of a tune.
And I think some of the promotional stuff around this film has been great as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, always.
I'm
glad they had it as well.
Deadpool turned up on Stephen Colbert's show to give the monologue. It's pretty good.
That's cool. And I'm glad they actually filmed separate bits as well with that character, because I actually do want to see more of this character, but again, I kind of wish it was a series, or I wish that he'd just pop up in some of the other bits.
Yeah, I think the only issue you might have with a series is the plot. Like, as much as they'd allow him to be character and stuff like that, I'm not sure if you just get a bit worn out of... like,
yeah, maybe.
The story after, like... Because obviously a series would have to be several hours of, like, plot beats and stuff like that, and...
Yeah. You know what? I think it is about high time the universes did merge. Like, if the MCU took on that franchise, we could have the occasional appearance from Deadpool in, like, a lot of the series films, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Plus, the reason I was pitching against it, like, this time a couple of years ago was, A, I thought the Deadpool franchise is, like, super strong, but again, it's a bit too few and far between. And B, obviously, like, the Hugh Jackman as Wolverine was, like, incredible casting and whatnot. I feel like now they could get to a point where they could merge them and cast a new Wolverine, but keep Deadpool in it for the odd appearance, maybe.
Yeah.
And I feel like Deadpool's also a good character to bridge a lot of the continuity issues.
Yeah.
Like, you could reference the fact that they've recast Wolverine and stuff for the MCU and stuff, and it would just about allow it.
Yeah, he'd be allowed to make those kind of jokes because he's
Yeah.
Deadpool.
He could come in and theoretically reference Edward Norton when talking about the Hulk and whatnot. Like,
Yeah,
he could
he
just
could be
say,
like, "Oh, you're not the same Hulk."
yeah. So yeah, I'm all up for it if it happens anytime soon. Again, I still do hope they occasionally make these Deadpool movies, but I would just like to see a bit more from that character more often.
Yeah.
What else? Was there anything else?
I think not.
I think not. Also,
So,
was I gonna mention? Oh, I swear I was going to mention just one more thing. No, it's gone.
wrap up.
Wrap up.
Have you got? So yes, this has been another episode of the Cynical Optimist podcast. Follow us on Twitter at @CynOptPodcast. Next week, the episode might be a bit late, which is my bad, but
Yep.
the topic will be Solo, which will be interesting. A second Star Wars film review of the season.
Oh
just because
yeah.
of how they've been scheduled. Do you have anything to plug this week, Nick?
Selling some shit on eBay if anyone wants.
Check out Nick's Twitter, I guess, at Mick Mortimer. And
I'm not gonna post eBay links. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, anyway,
I'll
that's
post
his
it on the
Twitter.
Synop page.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Follow me at haddowinc. I've got stuff in development, but nothing to announce, sadly. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a good place to wrap up.
Film recommendation of the week is Punishment Park, by the way. Really good.
Not the one we were reviewing.
No, I mean also that, but
Yeah.
if you've already watched Deadpool once, rather than watching Deadpool again, watch Punishment Park. The whole thing's on YouTube too, so happy
Yeah,
days.
do not watch Deadpool 2 more than once.
No. Warning.
And I have been Phil.
And I've been Nick.
And we'll see you next week for another brand new episode of the Cynical Optimist podcast.